Okay. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the July 9th Waterboro Board of Selectmen's meeting. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no announcements this evening, so we'll get right into our appointments. And we have Steve Levy from the Maine Rural Water Association to discuss the water main extension agreement.
Thank you. So I'm Steve Levy. I'm Executive Director of the Maine Rural Water Association. You have a water main extension agreement, a draft of an agreement, which has been prepared by the Water District's attorney. And this is a three-way agreement which would involve the Water District, the town, and the SAD 57. And the reason it's a three-way is that there's two pots of money. There is a pot of money that is coming from CDBG to the town, and there's a pot of money that is coming from the State Revolving Loan Fund to the school. And both pots of money are paying for the main extension and the new service into the elementary school. And the water district is regulated by the PUC. There is a Chapter 65, which is the regulations on how utilities are to handle the finances of water main extensions. The Waterboro Water District does not invest in main extensions, and therefore, in order to do this extension, you're using the block grant money and you're using the consolidation money from the Drinking Water Revolving Loan Fund to do the extension. So this agreement involves all three parties. Now then, what normally happens when you do a water main extension is, say Mr. Littlefield is a developer and he's putting in a grocery store and he wants a water main to his store. He would normally pay for the water main extension. Here's the money, I'll pay for it. And as people hook on to that water main, he would get money back from each of the people hooking on, so that the cost would be fairly shared between all of the people who benefit from the water main extension. That's how it normally is done. And an agreement would be done in that way. However, since the CDBG and the SRF are paying for this water main extension, then there's no cost sharing because the government is paying for the full expenses. So this water main extension agreement needs to be approved by the PUC, and there needs to be a waiver from these rules. So that's my story. The main extension regulations are very, very complicated, and this is the simplest way I can explain it. So my recommendation to the board, should it so desire, is to approve the concept of this agreement, and if you'd like to run it through council pending review of the agreement with your council. And that way, the water district can send in their request for a waiver and let the PUC know that it's okay with the town pending review.
I guess.
So anybody wishing to tie into the water main between the two schools would not have to pay for any part of the water main. Would just need to pay for their own work in order getting into it.
That's correct.
Yeah. So they get a good deal on this.
They get everybody gets a good deal. This is a good deal for everyone, but it doesn't sort of fit into how the water main extension rules work, which is why they're requesting a waiver.
I thought that when the school board originally came to us and you came to us and we talked all this out, I guess I didn't understand that the town was also going to have to play a role in the oversight of this extension. The way that it was explained to us basically is we were going to apply for the grant on
Yes.
behalf of the school district. We'd get the money, we'd give the money to the school district, and then the towns would be out. So I think this is a change from what originally was presented to us.
I see. Then, if I presented it to you incorrectly, I apologize. The town is the grant recipient, and there are certain conditions, and in fact, I'm leaving a memo with Christina about certain things that you're going to have to do. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do all of the work so that you don't have to. I mean, I think the issues will be more annoying than expensive. With the grant comes conditions. The town is going to have to certify certain things. You're going to have to do things, and what I'm attempting to do is to do all of the work that I possibly can.
So what other things are we going to be required to do?
Well, you have to select an advisory committee, which would, I would assume, include a representative from the Water District, a representative from the SAD, and a citizen willing to serve on the advisory committee. The responsibilities are not extensive. And the way it was explained to me is this would be the town cheerleader for the project. And if I have to be the cheerleader, you can just imagine me in a costume.
I was going to say, I don't want to see you in a skirt.
No, I understand. Or pom-poms, no, I get that. But there would be that. That's the committee. There are there are 9 other documents that basically the town needs to sign. And that's the extent of it. And I have a copy of the memo and a copy of all 9 documents. It does not involve work per se, but it does involve you signing these documents, which includes things like standards of conduct, a complaint policy, and various certifications. Now, you can either work with the local regional planning organization that will do most of this stuff for you, or I can do it. Again, I don't want to pull away from the town work as far as doing these things. So yes, there is some stuff that you have to do. If I wasn't clear enough, then accept my apologies.
I guess the question I have is, is there any administrative time? Do we have to cut checks? Are we overseeing the financial part of this? Who's doing that? Who's paying for various work as it goes on? We got the money, do we have to administer it?
There will be, I would say, a minimal amount of administrative time. Yes, you'll have to cut it. I don't think there'll be a lot of checks. There'll be money coming in. There'll be a few checks that go out to the contractor. So I would say the number of checks administered will be minuscule. There is, for instance, a requirement that you comply with the Davis-Bacon wage and hour certification. I'll do that.
Keeping the books here, and at the end, as the grant goes along, you need to have you need to show the government that the money's going where you said it's going. Are we responsible for?
Yes, you will have to set up, and I would say the amount of time is minimal.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this, but now, but as I heard, I think, oh, you guys got to do nothing, and all of a sudden now some stuff shows up, and I'm thinking maybe should have been some administrative costs tied into this, because we're going to have some people out there working on this, billing the town time for them upkeeping the books.
If you would so desire, I can, this is your grant, I can take money out of this grant to handle those circumstances, should you tell me to.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that to me sounds...
This is your money. And if for instance, what I would suggest is that I contact the CDBG office and find out what the normal retainage is for your costs of administration, and we take that out of the grant.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I mean, you'd say it's our grant, in a sense it is, because it comes to the town. However, in selling us this grant, it is basically, we're doing this primarily for the school, because the Waterboro Elementary School needs this water. So we think, okay, this is going to be good, but we're not thinking that we're going to be expending any funds for it. Meaning expending funds is time out there. So if time goes into this, we pay it, and that's what we were understanding, that we're paying nothing on this. So yes, I guess my thought is, if there is some administrative fees of this, we probably should account for them.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Christina?
I just want to mention that there have been some advertising requirements that we have done, and D. LaBelle of RSU 57 has asked me to forward those bills to him. So they are paying the costs of those ads. I was the one that created them and placed them, and then I send the bills over to
Okay,
them.
those are the types of things that we should have built into the administration of the grant.
Well, we ought to find out if the school is gonna be filing, anytime we get a federal grant, you have to file quarterly reports or 60-day reports or whatever this.
There'll be financial reports when we close this thing out. I don't think you have to file interim reports.
Well, it depends on the stipulations
Yes, but
in the grant, yeah.
my understanding is this grant does not require you to send monthly or quarterly reports.
Well, this will be less, the project should be less than a quarter anyways.
I think once we get going,
Should be fairly quick.
it will go very, very fast. And that's why there's going to be, for checks, there's going to be a check for the engineer, there's going to be a check for the contractor. I mean, and there may be 2 or 3 of those checks. There's nobody else involved, really.
Dennis, do you have a question?
Well, it sounds like your letter has got everything that foreseeable needs have been identified.
I went through, there is a workbook. We had a meeting here. There is a workbook, and with a number of things that basically you have to sign and certify that you have this complaint policy, that you've got various resolutions, etc. And I can resubmit a budget taking some of what we think is a reasonable amount of time, and we'll.
I guess my put is that he's identified what we've got. Gary's going to be here in another week. He's in the middle of administering the CDGB up there in Greenville anyway. He knows what it takes. I think he can put his hands around this pretty quickly, working with you guys to determine what's the need.
And which is very good news if for instance, there's training, if he's a CDBG grant administrator, then no one has to go to class.
There's a class that somebody has to go to?
But if he's administering a grant, no.
So let's, we're not going to solve it tonight, but you've got at least what you now know,
Yes.
which is more than what we knew initially. And I think we just work with that. Probably is going to get changed again, but in a week,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, we ought to have somebody on board here to be able to manage everything.
So if we were to say tonight, we want our attorney to look at this before we put our approval on it, does that have any consequence to the project?
What I'd like to be able to do is to get a resolution from you that you approve this in concept, and we'll finalize once your attorney reviews it.
Mm-hmm.
What that would allow me to do is go back to the attorney and say, listen, you can file this waiver with the PUC and get that process going. In all of these projects, everything seems to wait on some certain things, so I'm trying to line up the ducks. And one of the ducks, and it's an important duck, is to have this agreement, because if there's no agreement, then they can't bid the job, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm trying to push this thing along as fast as possible to bring water in, hopefully by November.
So if we say we're not gonna sign this tonight until our attorney looks at it, but we would give them till next week and we would put this on our agenda for next Tuesday night and approve it next Tuesday night, is that gonna create issues if there's
A week is fine.
a week holdup?
Yeah, a week is just fine.
And then that gives us a chance to look at that list as well and take care of that.
And maybe at that same time, if you could come up with an administrative budget.
Mr. Gale, if I might, I would feel better once you have a new administrator in here to work with him. And,
Okay,
and,
yeah,
And because I don't,
But-
he's going to have to do some of the stuff. I just as soon include him. And that.
But you're gonna need to communicate with him, and you probably have an idea of what that should be. He probably will have an idea of what it should be. I mean, it's just to break even on this.
Yes.
Now, as far as the advisory council, that is one thing that we have a hard time finding volunteers for councils and committees and whatnot. Is that something that we should probably look at moving on right away, or is
I
this?
think a week is just fine.
Okay.
There's no. Many of these things are sort of pro forma responsibilities.
But as Steve recommends, I think we're looking for one person.
Yes.
Because the water district and RSU 57 have to come up with somebody in my mind.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if we can think of somebody who's got a water interest, and it's not a lot of work, it's not a lot of, again, it's more cheerleading than anything.
Okay.
Can I
Christina?
just ask a question about that board, Steve, if you don't mind? Do they have to be residents of the town, the members? So if we're looking for 3 members, do all 3 have to be Waterboro residents?
I would recommend that.
Okay. So we'll tell the school to nominate somebody and the water district to nominate somebody in the town.
Well, it ought to be made clear to the school then, if they nominate somebody, it can't be outside this district. Because the town, that the school district's comprised of 6 towns. I don't want them to pick somebody from Shapley if it has to be a resident of Waterboro.
There's no, I went through the workbook, and there's no specific requirements about residency, etc.
Doesn't
Our
our
charter
charter says?
Our charter
I would
is
recommend that it be from within Waterboro, since the Waterboro was the recipient of the grant. I just think it makes sense.
So Christina's got a copy of the current water main extension agreement that we need to have looked at.
Yes.
You're
And
gonna-
you.
Yep, and you're leaving her copies of that letter.
And 9 forms.
Okay. So we'll get all of this to the attorney and get back to you next week.
Perfect. Thank
Are you
very
gonna come visit us again next week, or can we just give you a phone call, or?
I'm around next week. Do you need me? I mean,
I think if we get the town attorney to look at it, and if there's any questions that the attorney has, maybe I'll just touch base with you at the end of the week
that would be fine.
and just say, here's, and decide then. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay.
And if you want me here, and my suggestion to you also is where your new is he a town administrator?
Yeah.
Where your new administrator is working on a grant in Greenville. He will be very familiar with all of these documents. Go to every grant that goes in. So I would almost wait for him to come in, and then we can go through it.
Okay.
That's again, if he's done it, he's done it.
Okay.
It's not hard.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Steve? All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you. And the attorney can contact me or the water district's attorney, either one.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. Hearing a delegation. Is there anybody who'd like to be heard?
Do you want to hear from me now or later?
Are you doing a road commissioner's report tonight?
Well, I got some questions.
Does it tie in with the workshop with the road review committee or something different?
Something else.
Well, we'll get you under reports and staff initiatives. How's that sound? Correspondence, we have the treasurer's reports, Representative Libby's newsletter, and the planning board July 10 workshop notice. Reports and stash initiatives, selectmen's reports. John? Dennis? Gordon? Nothing? Okay.
Not at this time.
All right. Road commissioner.
As you know, we've got the money approved to do the Hamilton Road reconstruction culverts. We're now waiting for IF&W. Everything as far as we have to get a tier 2 permit from the federal government, and we're waiting for IF&W. When we put this job out to have the engineering done on it, Sebago agreed to do the engineering, the design, and everything. But as of your new updated or redone policy that everything over $25,000 has got to go out to bid, the culvert part of it, the structure parts, are going to be substantially more than that. That's the clutch of the job. So I've talked to Owens about that. He had nothing in his quote to draw up bid specifications and all of that. And we have a very, very difficult time schedule. Every day that ticks by, I've been calling him on a regular basis, because every day that ticks by, the school does not want us to have the Hamilton Road blocked. And it's going to make it really inconvenient if we don't have that job done. And we will have a deadline with DEP as to when we can install the culverts, the same as the work we done on the lake. They'll put a date in there when we can do this. So we have a time issue, and I can't put the culverts out to bid because I don't have any specs, I don't have any approvals, and if it takes me a certain amount of time to put them out to bid afterwards, we're going to have a real issue. So I want you to give that some thought as to how you want to handle that.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing in and Matt's kind of going through something similar right now, but there's nothing in the purchase order policy. I don't know that you could consider this an emergency expense.
I mean, I don't think we can consider it an emergency because, we went to town meeting for it. They gave us approval on the money, and now we're just waiting for the permitting process to go forward and get our permits that we need to do the job.
It's not a contract for professional services. It's not an hourly rate contract. Is this an issue where only one firm can effectively provide the required service or materials? I mean, there's more than one firm that you can get culverts from.
Well, these aren't culverts. These are custom-built poured concrete structures. Basically, they're probably the stupidest thing you ever saw. The DEP is concerned about the fish rubbing their bellies on the bottom of the concrete. So we could put in a structure like we did over on Old Mass Camp Road, where we went down and poured abutments and put an arch culvert in. But in lieu of that, we can design these two culverts that come in a bottom like a septic tank. You've ever seen a septic tank? But they have crossbars in them, and they have to have 2 feet of sand. But in between the 2 feet of sand, they have 6-inch rises that come up to the sand. So there's going to be a 6-inch riser, 8 feet of sand, a 6-inch riser, 8 feet of sand, 6-inch riser. So they got to jump over these risers when they get to them, or they're going to rub their bellies on it. And there's 2 feet of sand in the bottom of this.
They know how to jump, though.
Who's going to put the sign out there that tells them to jump? I mean, just makes absolutely no sense. And it's not going to be all that much fun trying to drop that 30 inches below the bottom of the stream bed. So if we continue to get heavy rains, you know, we're gonna have to rent some very large pumps to pump around. We're gonna pump around as it is anyway, unless we culvert around. So I'm just telling you that we have real serious time restraints. There are
So are we waiting on Owens?
I don't dare order or put the stuff out to bid because we have no approval that they'll accept the structures.
I can't get a Teflon coated bottom so that it'd be nice and smooth.
But the structures, Doug, I mean, you know, I understand you're putting the cart before the horse, but in the interest of time, I would think that the structure's not gonna change dramatically from what we're gonna put out to bid now, right? I mean, all we're really looking for is a DEP approval.
And the Army Corps of Engineers
Okay.
and IF&Ws. IF&W is probably the one that's gonna give us the biggest problem on the fish belly deal. I don't
Yeah.
understand why 6 inches of sand isn't as good as 2 feet.
Well, they might lay eggs there or something.
You know, they might do something.
But you now just named off 3 different agencies. I can't see us circumventing a policy just so we can, I mean, because really the person that, or the people that are affected if this doesn't go on time is RSU 57. They are going to be inconvenienced. It's not impossible, right, for what they need to do with buses, but they will be inconvenienced. So you have 3 balls in the air, right? Army Corps of Engineers, DEP, and the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, right?
And the weather.
And the weather. So
We could go out to bid 5 times
yeah.
before we get approval from all
I mean,
of them.
these things are pretty much, if you look in if you want to call them a standard design, they're a design, and if you look in any of there's 2 suppliers of these things, and they both have the same price. They have a catalog with these things in it, that they have the same price. I guess I don't understand the going out to bid on this stuff, because I don't agree with that. If you look at the stairs out here that we bid, that ended up, you needed to step 3 feet to get to the bottom rung when we had them put in, because we went for the cheap bid, and I'm just not sure that
But ultimately, if what you just said is true, and there's only 2 guys that can bid or provide the service, then I think it's pretty simple and straightforward.
I mean, I suppose that there's probably people that we don't know about in Massachusetts or Vermont or Connecticut or somewheres that could bid on this, but here locally, there's 2 people that can bid on this.
So to go out to bid, you need Owen to draw up the specs.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hire him, we're gonna pay him and we have no budget for that. We're gonna have to pay him to draw up a set of specifications and
So if you didn't have to have specifications and you were just gonna go buy something,
yeah,
you're gonna buy the same thing, right?
I'm gonna buy the design that he has,
Okay.
that are a listed product.
Okay, so it's a
Okay.
standard product.
It's a standard product.
So
for-
why do we have to have him come out with a spec? If he's got a standard product in his design,
Are you gonna bid it to just 2 companies in the state of Maine? Or are you gonna bid it and then have anybody that wants to bid it? And, then you have no specs. Their design they could have something that looked the same, but does not have the same
I think
specifications.
then all Owen's gonna say is that in his design, he's come up with something that is provided by one or the other of these 2 companies, right? It's either gotta be this or that, because he knows what the designs are.
Whatever you wanna do.
I mean, I just, I'm not quite sure why we're making this more complicated than it is.
That's my thoughts about putting stuff out to bid. Why make it more complicated than it is? call
Well,
up
even if
somebody.
it's a standard, you can still go out and bid it. If there's a standard that meets the design.
Call up somebody that does good work, send them a purchase order, have them build it, and you know what it's gonna cost you, and they deliver it, and you know it's gonna be done, and it's a reputable firm that you've worked with for 30 years, versus putting it out to bid and getting, you know, we went down to Kennebunk, and a competitor of mine put in a manhole down there, put in by a non-competitive customer that we have, that made it, not a customer, but a supplier. We was 9 hours stopping that manhole from leaking so the city would inspect it. 2 o'clock in the morning, we finally got it so it would. And that was after 9 hours of trying to make it watertight. So, you know, there's a quality of workmanship. Some people do things better than others. But, you know, it's your decision, whatever you wanna do, but whatever we do, we gotta, you know, if we're gonna do this project this year, it's gonna have to be done because we're gonna run out of time.
Anything to say, John?
It's not on the agenda, so, you know, we shouldn't be taking any action on anything that's not on the agenda unless it's an absolute emergency.
Yep. Gordon, anything to say about it?
I don't know if we're gonna have sole bidder or something. It's kind of fruitless to go out, but I agree that we shouldn't be circumventing our existing policy just to accommodate an isolated incident. And then John has a good point too about that this should be done, you know, when this is brought up for the agenda, so that there may be other people in the community that would like to comment on this particular proposal.
I'm not asking for a decision, I'm asking you to think about it, and I'm trying to make some sense of why all of a sudden, you know, we just gonna put everything out to bid. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's the same purchase policy that's been in effect for a number of years now, since 2011. And the one that we voted to update last week didn't change, we just put the current date on it. So nothing's changed with it.
I guess you haven't been enforcing it too well then.
All right, moving along, new business, discuss vote on fire department utility truck purchase. I got an email from Matt today that can be removed from the agenda. He's gonna follow the purchase order policy and go out to bid on that. Next on the agenda is discuss the proposed forest management plan. We received the plan regarding Bennett Hill Road, transfer station area, from Brian Reeder. It's quite an extensive plan, and I think that the next thing that we kind of talked about doing was looking at having Brian come in to go over the plan with us. Is there any other thoughts other than scheduling Brian to come in on this?
I think he needs to come in. His recommendation is pretty clear of what he's recommending to do, but there's no real time. Do we do it in the next 6 months? Do we do it over a 6-year period? So I think that's some of the things that we need to have input from him on. He kind of leaves that out of his recommendation.
Doug, did you get a copy of it? Can we make sure that Doug gets a copy?
Should we have someone from Inland Fisheries and Wildlife here too? I mean, he has 2 pages here on brook trout, even though he says that brook trout are not afforded any special state or federal regulatory protection for forestry operations. But
Swimming.
Yeah, but he seems to go in. Yeah, but he seems to go into great depth here for 2 pages on forest management recommendations for brook trout. So I would think that we'd want somebody from.
Well, I think if you read Brian's proposal, he says that there's certain areas that he would not recommend clearing because of things like the brook trout and whatnot. I think I would be leery of getting multiple agencies involved. It seems like Brian's done that research already. He's contacted them. I think at this point, maybe it would be better to get Brian in, get him to discuss it, and then if we decide we're gonna move forward with this, if then we have to contact inland fisheries and wildlife, then maybe we do it at that point. But I would be concerned about too many hands in the pot.
Like just have him come in.
Are you okay with that, John?
Yes.
So Gordon?
I would say I'm of consensus.
Okay. So Christina, can you get in touch with Brian and see if we can get an appointment for him to come in? Okay. Next, discuss social media used by employees and board committee members. This was at the request of Selectman Littlefield. So Gordon?
I think that we really ought to develop some type of policy. I know that there's certain elements that would say that certain things that are said are protected speech, but I also am aware that certain things that are said fall under other avenues. Even though there is protected speech, it doesn't give you the right for you to yell fire in a crowded theater any more than it gives you the right to post defamatory remarks regarding specific religions or ethnicities or things like that. And I just think that as a board, particularly when it was brought to our attention by a citizen who, from the context of the email, I believe sounded offended by the language or the reference to a specific religious persuasion, that we as a board have a responsibility to make sure that employees here and people that act on behalf of the town on a committee or something of that nature should be held to a standard that may be higher than you'd have just for an individual citizen, because they are representing the town as a whole. And I think that we really ought to delve into a policy that takes into consideration the rights of free speech versus the right of government to restrict certain types of reference to religion or those types of things. And I hope I put it as delicately as I can.
So we do have an internet policy, and that was updated 2 years or so ago, Dave. Maybe not even that long ago.
Yeah, in the past year.
But we never did really address social media in that, so maybe really all we need to look at doing is making some changes to our current policy to incorporate social media and
to expand it beyond, because it really speaks specifically to the town network and employees rather than kind of anybody who may represent the town and so forth, and personal equipment, that type of thing. So there's a broader picture there.
Yeah.
When you're really wanting, it's more of a conduct issue than it is even an internet policy, that people representing the town are held to a certain standard in private and public life. I guess that's, so however you may address that.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna have, that has some issues with it. Once you say, well, just because I'm on a committee in the town of Waterboro, I can't do this, this, or this. It's like saying, well, we don't expect you to be able to represent the town and then go do some things that you would normally do. So I think we got to be very careful of what we do external of. I mean, certainly I think everybody has an expectation of what's moral and decent and those kind of things. But I think once you now, if we own the system and we can control the communications, and I think we can have an edict of how that will be used, right? Now, when you step outside of that environment, now you're really on some
Right.
But not to say that this probably isn't something that we could bring into that at some point. And it probably should be. It should be an expectation.
So do we have maybe two things we need to look at? One being, a policy on social media that we could interject in our internet policy, and then something in the personnel policy as well.
This is really complicated stuff here. I mean, you can dictate what happens on company time.
Mm-hmm.
You can say with your internet policy, when you're at work, you will do work with the computer. You won't get into social stuff. But if someone has some kind of what might be seen as wacky beliefs that's on a committee here, and on their social time they get into the internet, I don't think we, even though it might be distasteful to us, the thing that controls that is civil court. I mean, someone maligns somebody else, they can sue them. But for us to get in there in the middle of all that and try to put it at a higher level, I think that'd be very complicated.
So
Well, we didn't get elected to make easy decisions all the time. I understand that it's complicated and that it has, and the rights of the citizen have to be balanced against the rights of the government, but I don't really think that if someone is in a capacity to represent the town, that they should have carte blanche on what they're able to say when they're identifiable as an employee or a committee member of the town. I mean, if I were to go out and make anti-Semitic statements or make references to African Americans in a light, to mention recently one in the news, Paula Dean, then that certainly reflects negatively on the municipality and the quality of leadership that we have. And I personally don't think that that's right. And I think that there ought to be something that dissuades, individuals from doing that and representing the town. If they don't want to be on a committee and they would rather say things that are inappropriate, then fine, get off the committee.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this and thinking, okay, you have someone that has some racist beliefs and writes articles for a certain network about his racist beliefs. As long as he doesn't come in, and does that, and is on a committee, as long as in the committee and in the town time, and talking, let's say, to the press and regarding his place on a committee and uses racial slurs, then can't do that. We can be very specific about that, but what the person does outside, we put him on the board, and he does a good job or she does a good job on the board, no slurs, no problems there, but writes for a newspaper or kind of an alternative newspaper that we don't like. I don't think we can go there.
So we said that when Gary came on board, there were some policies that we wanted to look at and make some changes to. So what would you think about tabling this until we do have Gary on board and look into?
I'm fine with that. I just think that it needs to be looked at, in a serious light, and what mechanism we use to do that is, I think, is immaterial to me as long as the issue itself gets addressed.
Yep. So Christina, why don't we put under pending decisions, social media policy? So we've got that tickler to make sure that we address it when Gary comes on. Okay? Is that good? All right. Next, discuss Old Home Days Parade and Board Committee Information Table. John was going to contact somebody from Old Home Days and get some information.
Right. I talked with Cindy, and they have a tent. The Old Home Days has a tent. They're going to have a table in the tent, and what we can do is we can put our information on the table, and put up a sign or a poster saying that the following committees we want, we need help. I'm thinking on something, a poster, the town of Waterboro wants you. And then at the table have some information on each one of the committees, what the committee does, just a paragraph, half paragraph, of what the committee does and how much it meets. And there'll always be someone in the tent. If one of the selectmen happens to drop by and spend some time there, and there's some people drop by, that's great. Otherwise, it'll be administrated by the tent. There'll always be someone in the tent. And the thought would be that we'd have a manila folder envelope that anybody that made out a request to be on a committee, they could put it in that envelope, and it could be given to the selectmen, the next week. So that's it. There'll be a table. There'll be information. There'll be a poster saying we need help, and here's the committees. There'll be a little bit of information on the committees, and people can come in there and sign up right there and request membership if they want.
So are you going to take care of the poster?
Yeah, I'll be. There was no post material in town hall, so I went to SAD 57 and got something. So I'll be down here tomorrow, kind of making a poster.
Okay. And then
Putting
did
that
they
together.
give you any
Yeah, I guess
information?
what I'd say is I'll plan on dropping by to help them set up a table at 5 o'clock. Leg cramp. Okay. And at around 5 o'clock. So I'll plan on spending probably 5 to 6 there on Friday night, and then after the parade, I'll spend a couple of hours, maybe until 12:30 or something like that. And if everybody else wants to drop by some other times and spend a half hour or an hour there, that's great. It's a hit or miss. If someone comes in and shows interest, and we're there to talk to them, then we can answer questions directly.
And while you were speaking to Cindy, did you find out anything about the parade as far
No,
as time or anything?
I
Okay.
didn't. I don't know I don't know if we're riding with golf carts or.
Okay. Do you have Cindy's email? Maybe just touch base with her and let us know. Okay. Next on the agenda, discuss July 10 meeting of the York County Commissioners regarding the censure of the York County Budget Committee. Just real quick, tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the Commissioner's office, the old jail, there's a censure hearing. The county commissioners have put together a ethics policy that they wanted the budget committee members to sign. The budget committee, with input from the attorney that represents the committee, has deemed that a portion of this ethics policy is illegal because it allows for the county commissioners to review, modify, or reverse action taken by the budget committee, where a member with a financial or special interest participates, or that they feel that there's an ethics violation and participates, and they can make that vote voidable. The other area of concern that the budget committee had was that the commissioners in this policy have a disclosure statement that requires all members of the committee disclose any and all nonprofit organizations that they or members of their immediate family belong to, whether they have benefit from the York County Commissioners or the York County budget or not. Last over the weekend, there was an article that was in the Journal Tribune where one of the commissioners who are holding this fair and impartial hearing, was quoted as saying that at that time, the commissioners plan to censure the budget committee. So it seems like the commissioners have somewhat already made up their mind on what they plan on doing. The budget committee chairman did send out a notice to all the municipal officers and asked for support from the municipalities and would appreciate municipal officials showing up at this hearing tomorrow night at 6 p.m. and supporting the budget committee.
6 p.m.
Some municipalities have sent letters to the county commissioners saying that they support the budget committee, and it's time for the commissioners and the committee to work things out and move on with the business of the budget and not this horseplay.
As we were previously talking, I think Dennis had it right on. If the commissioners want to change, they really, since it was set up, the budget committee was set up by legislation, and they want to change, it needs to go through legislation for the change. And so why all this stuff? You know, just if. And I think what they may do is negotiate and try to sell the change to the legislation. So if everybody comes in holding hands on a piece of legislation, it probably will pass. But if it's contentious, it probably won't go anywhere.
And the budget committee is willing to sign an ethics policy. That's not the issue. The issue is that we want some input into what the policy says, and we want to make sure that there's no provisions of the policy that are illegal. So I don't know if there's any questions about that. I know, Dennis, you had kind of wanted to have a little discussion on it.
I mean, it's probably going to be the entertainment venue of the week. So anybody that's into who was it that Terrell Owens said, bring the popcorn? That'll be interesting.
So, all right, moving on to old business, discuss town charter revision implementation progress, and the only issue that we have left there is public works, but that'll be tabled until our town administrator is in full-time, and we're looking at July 22nd as his first official day with the town.
Chairman Gerard, could I just suggest that maybe that also go under pending decisions?
Yeah.
Something else under that.
Yep.
Tomorrow morning, we're meeting with the MDOT. Did you all get notice of that from Natalie Burns? She was going to copy the selectmen.
I didn't see anything.
I told her when they called her back and set up the appointment that she should copy the town. She was going to. She sent me an email, but it's tomorrow morning. No, Thursday morning. I believe 9 o'clock in Scarborough. We meet with MDOT.
Pertaining to
The boat launch.
the boat launch.
So
Do you think you can make it? You've been kinda...
How long a meeting do you think it would be then?
well, I really don't know. We're going to meet with the right-of-way people, and I believe that it's pretty clear that the state owns more right-of-way up there than what's assumed that they do. And if anybody's been up there, they'll see that there's a new line up the road, according to one of the maps that I had, and then Natalie sent me a new copy. It shows that they own a 90-foot right-of-way up through there now. The existing building that's in question is within inches of being in the old right-of-way. I've given this a lot of thought, and as I remember it, I believe the reason that we turned that the town agreed to turn that back over was that lot was too small for them to put in a septic system at the time. And they needed to make it bigger in order to even conform to, if you have anything that's under 10,000 square feet, it's considered not a lot. Well, I don't know exactly how they say it, but there's a lot of difference. And I believe that we gave them that land back, and it clearly says in this right-of-way that the town is going to give the land back to the abutter, but retain a public right-of-way across it. And, you know, this shows it on this plan. It's a survey map from the state, which they'll have a much bigger one. We go in there Thursday morning. It shows this line running right along the front of the existing building that's there.
So you put a line there that we can peek at?
I put dotted marks that start about by the corner of the building in question where the sign is and goes up toward the fence. And time you get up the other end of the fence, we're only about 8 feet of questionable property. So where we were talking about putting the wall up and extending the guardrail, that's all state property, and it's in state property 15 or 18 feet in from that mark. I've been up there and laid that out again, and so their attorney, Mr. Ordway, is going to be there. Natalie's going to be there. I'm going to be there, and I don't know. I asked her. I said, don't just send it through the Board of Selectmen or through Christina an email saying that what happened. But that's why I bring it up now, because I don't want anybody to be. You know,
We didn't get anything
I
out
don't
of
see
it.
anything.
I will check my email tonight and let Christina know tomorrow. I'll check it because my memory may be off, but I think it's 9 o'clock on the 11th, which is Thursday, in Scarborough at MDOT office.
It's the one that's on the pike?
What's that? That's the one on Pleasant Hill.
Oh, on Pleasant Hill, okay. Yeah, I'm a mile from there, so.
So
Is it 9 o'clock on the 11th?
I think it's 9, but I will check. If you don't hear from me, Christina, it'll be just a shot of memory. Give me a call.
When you were up there, did you happen to see the additional cones that had been placed up with it, with a sign that says, pull up to here? You seen that one yet?
I don't think, I've seen the cones.
Yeah, there was a little sign stuck in it. It was an extension beyond that, and so.
I've had several complaints over the last 2 weeks. People call me up complaining about, you know, being harassed up there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have no authority over it, so I've passed it on to the sheriff's department.
Can you mention it to Natalie too?
I have mentioned it to her. I've sent her pictures of the sign that was up there. I don't know if Gordon sent pictures, but I took,
Yeah.
I didn't send any. I've taken some, but I haven't sent them any.
I took pictures of it,
You
and
sent them to Natalie.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I emailed them to whatever you did, or text them or something over the phone.
Yeah, I was quite amazed that you had the ability to text.
So am
I
I.
said, when I get it from you, I said, I can't believe that
We
this
had a
came
wager
from
on
that
who
phone
you
number.
paid to do it for you.
All right. Next on the agenda, other would entertain a motion to sign the minutes of the July 2nd, 2013 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Pending decisions, we have the Selectmen's goal-setting session. We need to work on the social media policy, and we're going to move the Town Charter Public Works item under that. For action list, we need to get the water main extension agreement to the town attorney for review. We need to get in touch with Brian Reeder. And Christina, you're gonna contact Cindy Durney about the parade. Discussion of agenda items for next week, we'll have to have a vote on the water main extension agreement.
I got a correction. I took the pictures. I sent them to David Lowe. He's the one that actually sent them to somebody else after quite a lot of finagling around in his office. He was able to get them transferred to an email thing. I can text, and I can send pictures by text, but not by email. He did that, okay? It was his assistants that did it.
Anything else for our agenda items next week? All right. So I'm sure something will come up during the course of the week. Items needing signature would be the minutes of July 2nd, 2013. And under reminders, July 10th at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening is the road review committee at the Old Town Hall. July 10th at 6 p.m. is the planning board workshop at Town Hall. Thursday, July 11th, says July 10th, but
Oh, sorry about that.
11:30, the senior lunch at the Snowmobile Club. Friday and Saturday, July 12th and 13th is the Old Home Days at the Mass Basic High School. Friday it's running from 5 to 9, and Saturday it's from 10 to 9 p.m. with fireworks. Saturday, July 13th, the cribbage tournament will be held at noontime at the high school, not at 8:30 at the town hall as is typical. Monday, July 15th, we have the 2020 Master Planning Committee at 5 p.m. at Central Station. And at 6 p.m. on July 16th, we have the Selectmen's meeting, and reporting will be the librarian, the Library Board of Trustees, and the Friends of Waterboro Public Library. Wednesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. is the Planning Board. Also on the 17th at 7 p.m. is the Community Garden Committee having a workshop. Monday, July 22nd at 6:30 is the Transfer Station Recycling Committee at the Town Hall. And Tuesday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. is the Selectmen's meeting. We will now take a brief recess, and then we have two workshops. One with the Road Review Committee, we'll do that one first, and then we have one to discuss board and committee liaisons, and that's followed by two executive sessions.
Tammy, can I make one announcement
Yep.
first? Anybody who is watching tonight, if you don't have a digital television, you're going to need to get a digital adapter from Time Warner for your television. Now, if your cable plugs directly into your TV, you need the adapter. They're free right now. They're going to charge 99 cents a month in 2015, but right now you can get the box for free. So get a hold of Time Warner. There's information on the town website, or you can just call them directly and tell them you need a digital adapter for your TV, or you will lose these meetings after July 23rd. Thanks.
All right. Ready to move into the workshop?
Really good.
Take a brief
Take
recess?
that brief
All right.
recess.
5.